after studying this module, you shall be able to learn the concept of performance appraisal and performance management. You would know the objectives of performance appraisal and identify the steps involved in performance appraisal process. Let us first understand the nature of performance appraisal. Performance management is a continuing process of recognizing, calculating and emerging human performance in the organization. Performance management can be a distinct process that associates goal setting, performance concern and growth into a single common system, the purpose of which is to confirm that the employee's presentation is supportive of the company's strategic aims. It is a wider approach for integrating human resource management strategies. Performance management is often confused with performance appraisal and the other way round. Performance appraisals are concerned with individual performance, whereas performance management looks at an individual or a team and the entire organizational performance. How the individuals and teams are set in the context of the organizational performance. Performance management is a general set of activities targeted at successful employee presentation. Performance appraisal deals with the inputs for the performance of the organization and its process. Thus, performance appraisal is a vital component of the performance management procedures. Performance management is typically defined as the system over which organizations set work goals, govern performance standards, allocate and estimate work, offer performance opinion, define training and development needs and allocate rewards. So, performance management is quite all comprehensive. Performance appraisals, which are a significant portion of the performance management system, are the result of annual or biannual procedures in which the manager assesses an employee's presentation virtually to the necessities of his or her job and uses the information to show the person where enhancements or improvements are needed and why. Performance appraisal is an organization of appraisal and estimation of an individual or a team's performance. Performance appraisal is a broad term and includes a diverse set of activities. In simple terms, performance appraisal may be unstated as the valuation of an individual's performance in an organized way and the presentation being restrained against such issues as job knowledge, feature and extent of output, inventiveness, leadership capabilities, supervision, dependability, cooperation, judgment, versatility, and so on. The other terms used for performance appraisal are performance rating, employee assessment, employee performance review, personnel appraisal, performance evaluation, employee assessment, and worth rating. Objectives of performance appraisal. Data involving the performance assessment of workers are recorded, archived, and used for some determinations. The main purpose of employee assessment is 1. To effect promotions based on competency and performance. To confirm the service of a probationary employee upon their completing the probationary period satisfactorily. To assess the training and development needs of employees. To choose upon a pay increase where regular pay scales have not been fixed. To let the workforce identify where they view insofar as their presentation is anxious and to support them with a positive disapproval and guidance for the purpose of their development. To expand communication, performance appraisal suggests a format for interchange amongst the greater and the secondary, and it grows accepting of the personal goals and anxieties. This can also have an influence of increasing the trust amongst the rater and the rate. Usually, performance appraisal conforms to 4 objectives: progressive use, administrative decisions, administrative objectives, and certification process. Developmental uses. 1. Proof of identity of individual needs. Presentation feedback. 2. Defining transfers and job obligations. 3. Documentation of separate strengths and progressive needs. 4. 5. Allows employees to discuss concerns. 6. Improves communication, and finally provides a forum to leadership to help the employees. Apart from development uses, there are administrative uses. Make repayment and reimbursement decisions, promote the employee, retain the employee, recognize the individual performance, indulge in layoffs, identification of poor performers, determine transfers and assignments, finally validate the selection criteria. Then we have organizational maintenance. This consists of HR planning, determining organizational training needs, evaluation of organizational goal achievements, information of goal identification, evaluation of HR systems, and under this head, strengthening of organizational expansion needs. Documentation. This consists of criteria for validation research, documentation for HR decisions, helping to meet legal requirements. That the technology firm Cognizant uses annual performance appraisal schemes to measure its employees for the purpose of retaining talent and for compensation management. During its annual performance appraisal of the employees, the firm has asked its employees identified as underperformers to leave the organization. Certain sources have said that there were more than 500 underperformers in the list, and this could not be verified, however. Performance appraisal process. The performance appraisal process contains the subsequent steps, the following steps. 1. Establishing performance appraisal standards. The appraisal process begins with the setting up of criteria to be used for appraising the performance of employees. The principles are identified with the help of job study, which discloses the substance of a job. This criteria should be clear, objective and in writing. Where the performance output can be measured, the criteria is clear. For example, the number of units sold by a sales representative. If the work performance cannot be measured and the personal characteristics which contribute to the employee's performance must be determined. These features contain work quality, morality, collaboration, group work, job knowledge, initiative, leadership, safety, consciousness, learning ability, adaptability, and so on. To set SMART goals, these are specific, measurable, attainable, relevant and timely. So, this is how we establish the performance standards. Now, mutually set measurable goals. Once the performance standards are established, this it needs to be communicated to the respective employees so that they come to know what is expected of them. The feedback from the employees on the standard communication to them must be obtained. If required, the standards may be modified or revised in the light of the feedback obtained from the employees. Thus, the goals of the employees should be mutually set and properly communicated to the employee. Then we now talk about measuring actual performance. This is the third step involved in the appraisal process. In this stage, the actual performance of the employee is measured on the basis of information available from various sources such as personal observation, statistical reports, oral reports and various written reports. Needless to mention, at this stage, various rating biases should be taken care of. For example, the evaluator's feelings should not influence the performance measurement of the employee. Measurement must be objective, based on certain facts, findings and figures. Comparing actual performance with standards. In this stage, the actual performance is compared with the predetermined standards. Such a comparison may reveal that the deviation between the standard performance and the actual performance and will enable the evaluator to proceed to the fifth step in the process, that is the discussion of the appraisal with the concerned employee. Discussion. The fifth step in the performance appraisal process is to communicate to and discuss with the employees the result of their appraisal. This is in fact one of the most challenging tasks that a manager faces, to present an accurate appraisal to the employees and then make them accept the appraisal in a constructive manner. A discussion on appraisals enables employees to know their strengths, their weaknesses, and so on. This has in turn an impact on their future performance. Therefore, employees should not be discouraged by the idea of discussion because it would benefit them in their future performance. The impact may be positive or negative depending upon how the appraisal is presented and discussed with the employee and how the employee reacts to such discussion. Then now we talk about taking corrective action. The final step in appraisal process is the initiation of the corrective action when it is found necessary. The areas needing improvement are identified and then the measures to correct or improve the performance are identified, initiated and communicated. The training, coaching, counseling, etc. are the common examples of corrective actions that managers initiate to improve employee performance. The last step of the process involves the process to take decisions which can be taken either to improve the performance of the employee or for the purpose of the required corrective action or the related HR decisions like rewards, promotions, demotions, transfers and so on. So now if we look at this figure 1, which is the performance appraisal process, it goes step by step. The first step is establishment of performance standards with the employees. Second is the mutually set measurable goals. Then measuring actual performance with standards. Then comparing actual performance with the standards. Then discussion of the appraisal with the employees and finally taking some corrective action. Now let us summarize what we have done so far. Performance appraisal has been known and as a concept wherein the performance of individual employees and sometimes the team is assessed by the management. However, it is important to understand that in recent years there have been developments which bring about a new concept called performance management system. In the case of performance appraisal, it is a one-way process. The employer or the managers assess the performance of the employee. In this case, whatever tools and techniques are used, the final outcome would be either a reward or a punishment, and that is where performance appraisal stood traditionally. But in recent years what has happened is that performance appraisal management has become a much wider concept. It not only talks about the employee's performance, and it does not end at the point where an employee is assessed and then finally the whole matter rests there. But in the case of performance management system, it is a complete system. And one more thing that needs to be noted is that in the case of performance management systems, there is an onus. That is, the onus of performance does not lie on the employee alone. The onus of performance lies very much with the management. That is, the philosophy behind performance management systems is that the systems have to be well designed. The systems have to take care and identify what are the needs of the employees, and there has to be an effort to not only identify but to specifically design the training needs for each employee. And furthermore, it also means that if the poor performance is due to wrong kind of recruitment, then also the onus does not rest upon the employee but upon the HR management. So, keeping this in mind, we could now understand that performance appraisal in its old mode was quite different from what performance appraisal is today. Performance appraisal is one of the core procedures or processes which is a part of the larger performance management system. Therefore, let us now examine performance appraisal. There could be performance appraisals which are annual, biannual or quarterly processes in which the manager evaluates the employees and in the process the manager tries to assess the relative requirements of his or her job and uses the information to show the person where he or she needs to improve oneself and why. Broadly, performance appraisal serves 4 objectives: development uses, administrative uses and decisions, organizational maintenance and objectives, and documentation. The steps in performance appraisal are establishing performance appraisal standards, communicating the standards to all concerned, particularly the employees, measuring performance, and then comparing this performance with the standards which have been set up, discussing with the employees and taking some corrective actions which would ultimately lead to better performance of the appraisal. Therefore, it would be clear from this that performance appraisal is no longer a one-way process. Performance appraisal in an organization is the appraisal and estimation of an individual or a team's process. Performance appraisal is a broader term. It includes a diversity of activities. For example, the performance appraisal consists of 4 objectives: progressive uses, administrative decisions, administrative objectives, and the certification process. Now, we have discussed a case. This is the case of a firm, a technology firm called Cognizant. Cognizant uses annual performance appraisal measurements and evaluation to decide about its employees' performance for the purpose of retaining talent and for compensation management. During its annual performance appraisal of employees, the firm had asked its employees identified as underperformers to leave the organization, and you would be surprised that one of the sources within the management has quoted that more than 500 employees in an very well-known technology firm like Cognizant were found to be underperformers. Of course, this information could not be completely verified.